The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now announced that he won't be seeking immunity from prosecution in his corruption case. And he made the announcement in Washington. That's where he's been discussing Donald Trump's Middle East peace plan to be unveiled later today. Well, Netanyahu's main rival, Benny Gantz, has also been there. He's now on a flight back to Israel. Let's talk about the breaking news from Israel and Netanyahu withdrawing his immunity request with Akiva Eldar. He's a columnist at the Al Monitor. He's joining us live from Tel Aviv via Skype. Thanks very much for your time with us on Al Jazeera. So, Akiva Eldar, the reports seem to suggest that Netanyahu didn't really have the votes anyways in the Knesset to win this fight later on today. So why do you think that he withdrew his request at this particular time?
There are a few reasons. First of all, Netanyahu hates to be the loser. He once was quoted as saying, "I always get what I want." He wanted the immunity and he wasn't able to get it. He was hoping that maybe the meeting with Trump, with Gantz, the head of the opposition, next to him, which didn't happen. As you know, Doreen, they met with the president separately, that maybe the president will be a kind of a matchmaker and they will end up, the three of them, coming out of the White House, shaking hands and going for a unity government, and with no need even for the March elections. But Gantz, who doesn't have a lot of experience in politics, was smart enough not to fall into this trap. And he made it clear that he's going back to Israel, right back to Israel, in order to vote against the immunity. On the other hand, Netanyahu also likes to come up as the victim, that the Knesset, as we know, as you just mentioned, Doreen, he had no chances. So he could say that there is a plot of the politicians. They didn't really intend to look into the facts and judge him fairly. So I think that this was his best way to come out from this.
But realistically, Akiva Eldar, what does he actually gain from this request, from withdrawing his request? Because now then this paves the way for a trial, and he's indicted on 3 corruption cases.
Yes, but he doesn't have the majority in the Knesset to get the immunity. So it was just, a cheap shot at trying. It was very transparent to gain few more weeks, and it didn't look very presidential, so to speak, to go through the Knesset, the humiliation, and every day again until the elections to catch the headlines with the corruption affairs. So I think that now he's looking at the elections. He is hoping that the deal of the century will hijack the headlines and instead of the immunity process in the Knesset. And here he can lead with his slogans that, this is a one-time opportunity, it's an historical move, and blah, blah, blah. And some people, I think, the people on the floating votes that Gantz wants to move to his side, will probably, many of them will buy this.
And what do you think happens next? I mean, any indication you're getting that he'll actually be in court before the upcoming Israeli election? And also, another question for you. Can an indicted prime minister, let's say he is indicted, can he then form a government if he wins the election?
Well, the Supreme Court asked this question. They asked themselves this question, and they said that it's too early. It's a theoretical question, but when push comes to shove, and he will have the majority and ask the president for the mandate, the president has the power to decide, because there is no precedent to this. So the president will have to decide whether an indicted person can get this mandate. If he does, it will still be appealed. It will go back to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will probably make a very clear judgment that, as you mentioned, it's not really democratic and not really honest to give an indicted member of Knesset the power to form a government. And what will happen now is that the Attorney General will submit the indictments to the court. They will they will probably hold the process until after the elections. So, but yes, it may be theoretically, we may be in the position that Netanyahu, and you know, it takes time until you form a government after the elections because of the coalition you need to form and all this, that we will see the prime minister spending a few hours in court and then going to the office and make decisions about peace and war.
Right. Okay.
Really interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, Akiva Eldar, we thank you very much for speaking to us from Tel Aviv.
Thank you, Doreen.